Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. 22 wins in a row, and not really sweating it too hard. You just take a deep breath. We had Eden's Blessing. Dude, okay. Fire rate, damage are good. HP, well, I mean, if we're going to call those good, HP would be in the same category. I'd say 3 HP is amazing. Don't even get me started on how incredibly useful 99 bombs is this early on in a run. It changes everything. You know, we're not going to be blowing up every rock to find a crawl space, especially because now we know they can just pay out with a single piece of poop. Not really a good use of our investment. However, especially early on here, you know what? I've decided I want to go this way anyway. Secret rooms, pots. Looks like there's a library. I gotta get like a vibe. Would you be mad if I didn't... Oh, it's not a library. If I didn't take kidney stone? Oh, I love it. Because I think... I mean, here's the obvious thing. I think kidney stone is kind of not good. By the way, why would you ever use the chariot card to, you know, go up against this demon judgment right here? It's just a waste of everybody's time. Just be cool, just be cool. Hey, not really worth it yet, but... Because I think I'm undecided on kidney stone. But I genuinely think it may actually just be negative. I would love to say, you know, it's got positive traits. I do like it when it pops and you get that, like, 1 rate of fire for a little while. 2 rate of fire, maybe. Either way. But in advance of that, it's just kind of crappy, you know? It's just no good. So I think I'm going to leave it. And part of the, you know, the evolution of me on this streak has been a little bit like the plot of the 1999 film, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. You know, I used to be a strong, independent woman named Angela Bassett. And then I gave away a little bit too much of myself to a man who didn't deserve it. And that's just, you know... I hate to bare my soul like that, but that man's name was Isaac, okay? I said, yeah, I'll take soy milk, whatever you want to do, honey. Yeah, I'll take D4 and re-roll the best run I've ever had, whatever you want, sweetheart. And now, you know, I've been left at the wayside. I've been thrown away like a piece of yesterday's garbage. You just stay away from me for now. And I've decided, you know what? I gotta treat myself right. And that's what I'm trying to do right here. Is treat myself right and say, I'm not gonna willfully give myself kidney stones for the amusement of the YouTube audience. This isn't Wild Boys. This is Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac, all capital letters, AFTERBIRTH Plus, video description. It's finally out, even though it's been 2 years. Alright, here we go. So far, by the way, I mean, you should know... I'm relatively happy with where we're at. And by relatively, I mean like relative to anything, which I think we would just describe as positive. I love our trinket. I don't love our spacebar item. We're definitely going to see a deal with the devil on this floor. Well, as long as we can get a spirit heart, and that's handled. We're also absolutely going to play our blood bank. Oh, no blood bank to be played. Now, if there was ever a time for us to take advantage of... Oh, dude, Succubus, so good. If there was ever a time for us to take advantage of a bomb judgment, it's gotta be right now. We have so many bombs. Now, most of the time, I don't want to rag on this, but as long as I'm pulling out my, like, you know, pseudo game design hat, I really feel like the bomb judgment is a big wasted opportunity. I get it. There's judgments for everything else. There's got to be a bomb judgment as well. But did he really have to exist? Sorry, buddy. Did he really have to exist as a receptacle for you to put bombs into and then for the most part get the very bombs that you put into it back immediately? Seems like a little bit of a wasted opportunity to me, but... So I think we're going to roll How to Jump. It's the poor man's ability to fly. And we can use it for invincibility, which is pretty sweet. Can also use it to very inefficiently travel and probably take more damage than we're supposed to at this stage of the game, and that's fine too. Item room and shop. Very, very valuable. You know what? Like, this could be... We could sink the entire run. Sink it like a basketball. Not sink it like, you know, like a Titanic or something like that. All we need is, like, a DPS upgrade, a good damage item. Oh, dude, a reroll machine is, you know, could be all the above. No. Trash so far. Not trash, but I'm willing to go a little deeper. Dude, if that's... I'm happy with what we got. I really am, and I mean, Tractor Beam is awesome for a tiers upgrade. I do think we got the best item, but it was it took a lot out of me to reroll some of those items that most of the time I would have been pretty okay with. Now, Nun's Habit in this situation, not worth much. However, BFF's worth a lot. Now, look at it. The run it's evolving so much every single floor. We're gonna take Diplopia into the deal with the devil. There's many ways we can handle this. We could Diplopia the devil deals, assuming they exist, and get free devil deals, and then preserve a deal with the angel chance, and have a makeshift duality run. It's kind of interesting. If the items deserve to be doubled, if we get a value out of doubling them, we could do that. You know, like a doubled Incubus, for example, or even a doubled 9 lives. Now, if 9 lives is good, surely, you know, 18 lives would be better, but it really should be 81 lives. I think every single... I see it, by the way. Every single one of your 9 lives should get 9 lives of its own. It's a foil multiplication. We're not just multiplying that by 2. This is a tough one. It's not really the kind of caliber of item I've come to expect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double it. And I'm going to take both, because I think having 2 multi-dimensional babies is kind of funny, especially with BFF. Don't know if I've ever had that before. And then we're going to go back for how to jump. I don't know if that'll even work, by the way, because they're... Oh, you know what? It will work. Because they are closely aligned, but not completely interconnected. So one of them will move, and then the other one will follow, which means... What I really... Okay, we're going to try something. I'm going to shoot through one and then have those shots go through the other. The second one doesn't appear to do anything, so it's just like a switch. You know, it's like, has it gone through a multi-dimensional baby? If so, hit this. Otherwise, you know, nothing changes. I'm going to use a bomb because we have infinity, and I'm going to grab this. But I don't really feel like we want to take that. I understand. Blood rights, especially with our damage, would be better, but... Better at dealing damage, but worse from an HP context. Yeah, let's not. We've had key-related issues in the past. Alright, dude, I'm feeling, like, real solid on this run. I think we've had a good mix of practicality and Zane. It's been a dream come true. You always wonder, you know, it's like a for whom the bell tolls sort of situation. Which I have to admit, okay? I mean, this is going to sound like a very manufactured analogy, but I promise you that every aspect of it is true. The first time I ever heard the expression for whom the bell tolls, or as I was about to say, for whom the bird is in the Metallica song, you know, for whom the bell tolls. And then, I knew it was a literary reference, I guess, but I always thought it would be something like, maybe not H.P. Lovecraft, but, you know, a horror or a menacing book or like a Dante's Inferno sort of reference or something. And maybe it goes deeper than this, but, you know, I was looking up the collected works of Sir Ernest Hemingway the other day. He's got a book called For Whom the Bell Tolls, widely considered one of his best works, perhaps that, A Farewell to Arms and The Old Man and the Sea. Little did I know that if Metallica named it after that book, it's really like a pensive take on masculinity and bullfighting set in, you know, the 1920s era Pamplona running of the bulls. What's up with that? Always thought it would be like, you know, For Whom the Bell Tolls is about like Beelzebub culling your soul. I didn't realize it was about like a relationship between, you know, a disabled war veteran and a wealthy heiress. I don't have to read the book anymore. I already read the synopsis. And I gotta be honest, I disagree with a lot of the critics. Didn't seem that good to me. From the Wikipedia article, I think it left a lot to be desired. Now, we might as well take either Ghost Baby or Brother Bobby. I'll take Brother Bobby. And then we'll take Death's Touch and Magic Mush. Might as well look for, well, secret rooms, but also a shop. More money. I want to run a poll here. 1 second. I have cats freaking out as well. Hello? Hello? It's your owner. Why you freaking? Why you freaking? Why you freaking? That's right. He responds to me. Ruka. You might not have heard him, but he was freaking. This cat, he's been so energetic the past few days. It's, I mean, I don't want to say annoying, but it is a little annoying. Straight up, I don't really like, well, I don't like King Baby at all. And Blue Map, I think, is overrated. You know, once you learn secret room placements, it's not that bad. But I want to run a poll. In high school, did you read the books? Let's just say by and large. We'll do 3 categories. Or like a sometime, or never, sometimes, often, always. How often did you use Cole's Notes or Spark Notes in order to avoid reading the book and instead just pick up the synopsis and the summarization of relevant themes and motifs from the internet? I was a sometimes Spark Notes. I read all the novels, and I read maybe all of the plays but one. In the 9th grade, we read The Taming of the Shrew, and, you know, here's the thing. I thought I was better than Shakespeare back then. Now I don't think I'm better than Shakespeare. I know I'm better than Shakespeare. You know, with age has come confidence. So I was like, you know, why would I read The Taming of the Shrew with all this, hoity-toity 1600s language when I could just play Madden NFL 2002 instead? So I definitely Spark Notes that. And to be honest, I think I probably Spark Notes some other stuff. Like, I think I remember doing it for The Tempest. But that was more because I was like, I get, like, when I read the words, I understand it, but I have no idea what's happening. So, by the way, we're going to re-roll the Christ out of this, but not with bombs, because that seems terrifying. I'm sorry, Bumbo. Now we're talking. But apart from that, I was not a Spark Notes reader, you know, especially, I gotta be honest, I've said it on this show before, in high school, I thought we read good novels. You know, we read 9th grade To Kill a Mockingbird, great novel. 10th grade, William Golding's Lord of the Flies, fantastic novel. Love it. I mean, it's not particularly long. I'm not trying to brag and be, oh, look at all these. Of course, they're like 200 pages each, but that's, you know, you're trying to get a class of people who, not all of them enjoy reading. You know, to get them all to read the book is a feat in and of itself. 11th grade, we read 1984. Another, what can you say? You know, it's a great novel. And then in 12th grade, we read a Canadian novel by Robertson Davies called Fifth Business. Funny, science fiction, cool book. You hear this cat? He's freaking again. I never thought it would happen, but he's a freaky boy. Ruka! So I feel, you know, I'm happy with the novels that we read for sure. And then, you know, I had to take, because my college, or my university, look, I'm not trying to be anal about it. We just call them different things in Canada. And it's okay. But, like, I have a deep-seated inadequacy inside of me, so I feel like I gotta say university so that, you know, because there's a slight difference in Canada, and it plays to my ego-related issues, and etc., etc., so I apologize. But, in university, I had to take an English class despite being a science major because, you know, it was produce well-rounded individuals was their goal, at least. Also, because of the recession, they didn't offer as many science classes as they used to because lab time was expensive. So, you know, getting kids to... Basically, an English class is pretty cheap to run. This is not looking down at people who, you know, are English majors or took a lot of English classes, but, you know, what is the material required? You get all the kids to buy the books, and then you talk about them. That's it. You know, in a biology lab, you know what we had to do? We had, like, you know, mass spectrometers and centrifuges and, you know, big old incubators for bacteria to be cultured and stuff like that. And, you know, animal specimens that had to be preserved and electron microscopes and stuff. I never got to use them. That's more of a master's degree program sort of weight class there. But anyway, I'm just saying, it's relatively cheap. Read so many great pieces of literature. The Sophocles classic Greek tragedies. Bartleby the Scrivener. We didn't read all of the brothers Karamazov, but we did read that one passage. I can't remember it at all, but it's very famous. Look, it was 2006. It was 12 years ago. Yeah, I don't remember a short story that I read in freshman year English literature class, okay? I'm sorry. We read Kafka's The Metamorphosis, I remember. Okay. I'm blathering. I don't know what the difference between blathering and rambling is, but I think I'm starting to cross it. Be smart here. I think you can make do with Death's List without even being close to being in danger. Then all these items are trash, so we're gonna leave. And we just have an incredible run. Like, every item, more or less, let's ignore Kidney Stone, has improved our run a great deal. 4 rate of fire, 13 damage, like actually ridiculous. Now, I'm realizing Death's List is very unlikely to be worth too much for us, because our flies are killing things before we can. That was probably a wasted pickup, but so be it. Keep in mind we also have Goat Head. You have to expect, like, just for the pure random chance and variance, there's a decent opportunity for us to accidentally get a Death's List payout now and then. I'm not going to that cursed room. It's just too, little too spooky HP-wise for us right now. But I've been doing a lot of backtracking on this run. I feel like I'm dialed in. It's not hard to be dialed in when you're in a situation where, you know, when you tap an arrow key, you kill every enemy on the screen. I'm just saying, you know, your boy's dialed. Yeah, I was never much of a Spark Notes guy, to be honest with you. Except for the Taming of the Shrew, which I'll admit, you know, I was a simpler time. I don't feel the need to apologize for the fact that I didn't fully read the Taming of the Shrew. I mean, it's a decision that's haunted me to this day. People will be like, hey, who's your favorite of the 3 suitors in the Taming of the Shrew? And I go, the guy who played Basil in Austin Powers. And you're like, oh, Michael. I know his name. Michael. One second. Basil, Austin Powers, actor. Michael York. You're gonna think that this is me having a laugh. I was like, I know it's Michael, a city in England. But in my head, all I could think of was like, Michael Coventry? Not even close, you idiot. Alright, take Yara. Let's get the heck out of here. I mean, I'm not trying to speed through the run. This actually strikes me... Ooh. This strikes me as a run where we may enjoy doing the Hush fight. And totally not just doing it in order to, you know, make sure that we fill out the relevant runtime for a video and people don't accuse you of rushing through it because your damage is good. You know, there has nothing whatsoever to do with that. It's just for the thrill of the kill, my man. Just for the love of the game. Easy money. Okay, dude. Still, I'm at the point where I just wish I could save some of these items for the future. Straight up, we're not going to take the strength card with us, so we might as well take Betrayal by using the strength card, and then we're just going to go back and we're going to get the Yara rune. I still think of the bridge to Eve 6's Inside Out every time I say Yara rune. You know, rendezvous, I alone am the one you know. Sometimes that sound like a didgeridoo. Okay, let's get the heck out of town. Tie me to the bedpost, and then he keeps holding the note and then singing underneath. How does he do that? No, not studio tricks. Because then how would they do it live? They'd need a computer or something. Doesn't make any sense to me. Nah. Okay, that's a new level of laziness. I looked at 3 chests and said no. I can't be about that lifestyle, especially if we have a potential. I don't know why, like, in my head, I believe that there's somebody out there, that, like, the hush is their favorite part of every single Isaac video. Like, that person exists in my brain and no place else on planet Earth. But anytime I'm like, well, I promised earlier that I would do the hush, and now I'm not doing the hush, I just picture, like, little Johnny Hush fan out there, Hush fan 2004, watching the video going, you know, his hands are shaking, like, he lied to me. I'm sorry, Johnny Hush fan, it's a situational thing, okay? Sometimes it's worth doing, sometimes it's not. Will we do it on this run? I don't know, it depends. I'd like to have a few more HP before we do it, like a little bit more in the Spirit Art category, but, you know, for now, it certainly looks plausible, but, you know, don't treat it as a promise. And I think the reason I feel like that is because I had a friend like that in middle school and elementary school. It is the only person in my life I've ever seen get into a crying, screaming argument with 2 different teachers. In 6th grade, he got into an argument with our 6th grade teacher because he did bad on a math test because he didn't show his work. He got the right answers, but he didn't show his work. And then, you know, I actually, to this day, I think he has a point in this argument. And I will never make him feel bad. Sorry, we will fight Hush. I will never make him feel bad for his position in this argument. Maybe took it a little too far. But he was like, why do I need to show my work? It's multiplication, you know, it's 1 and 2 digit multiplication. There's no way I could be cheating, you know? Look around you, buddy. It's the year 1999. Nobody's got a cell phone with a calculator in it. We're 12 years old. Doesn't make any sense. And the teacher was like, well, if you don't show your work, how do I know you know how to do it? And then he was like, well, because I got the right answer, moron. And the teacher was like, well, maybe you just guessed. Yeah, maybe I guessed and got every single question right. Like, again, I think he had a great position. But anyway, the teacher wouldn't back down. And I do understand the teacher's role in this. I understand why the teacher wouldn't back down. Because if you back down in front of your students, they're never going to respect you again. I'm sorry, if an adult, like a class of adults, backs down, or gets a teacher to back down, then you can talk about respect, no question. But if a bunch of 12-year-olds make a teacher back down, 12-year-olds, I'm sorry to tell you, they're a pain in the butt to teach. There's a certain level of, like, you know, prison politics that goes into it, where you gotta maintain control of the classroom, especially when there's 30 of them. You gotta maintain order. I hate to say it. And I know you're like, well, I would have respected it. No, you wouldn't have. I'm sorry, it's not built into the 12-year-old brain. Consciously, you might have been like, that was a good thing for him to back down. And I would have been the same way, you know, unconsciously, you would have been like, I can get away with 12% more now, because I'll just bring up the time that he was wrong about the showing your work thing. Anyway. And then the teacher really screwed up by continuing to argue for like 30 minutes of class time, and then, you know, my friend was in tears. It was just like, I just want the marks that I deserve. And the teacher was like, we're going to go do a lesson in the library. You stay here and think about, like, what you've done. And just left him openly weeping in the classroom. But then the next time, this is 2 years later, our 8th grade teacher on, like, Wednesday promised us that we would do brain teasers on Friday if we had time. Friday comes around, we don't have time. You know, that's life. That's what school is getting you prepared for. Sometimes it's like, yeah, if we have time on Friday, you know, maybe we'll do a little meeting in the break room and we'll talk about our weekend. But, you know, sorry, we had a lot of important calls come in today, and there's been some revolutionary new findings in the study of how to teach you the capitals of Canada and the United States. So, you know, we don't have time for that stuff today anymore. He got into an argument with my 6th grade teacher was a piece of garbage. My 8th grade teacher was a lovely woman. And she was super nice and accommodating. She was like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, we just don't have time. Maybe we'll have a chance to do it next week, but I can't promise that. And then my friend, through tears, choking tears and openly weeping, says, you said we would play brain teasers, and then we didn't. That makes you a liar, and my parents told me not to trust liars. And everyone in the class was like, oh. Anyway, basically, you know, he was a friend of mine. You know, I think it's fair to say he had some behavioral issues that manifested themselves from time to time. I bring up the story not to embarrass him necessarily, but, you know, we all got embarrassing stories from that time period. I've told you many of my own. At the time, a substitute teacher disciplined me for being probably like a kind of a piece of garbage in class. I used to talk in class a lot. I can understand why she would single me out. But I was at that age where I was kind of trying to prove myself a little bit. So later in the day, we had an assembly, and it was like Teacher Appreciation Day. So every class had a representative that would go down and get like a bouquet of flowers and then give it to their teacher. But we had a substitute teacher that day, and when it came time for our class, she was like, Ryan, you go down. After she had been, you know, kind of making an example of me all day. Me and my adolescent brain took this as like, this is the prison moment. You know, this is when, you know, if you let her have this one, you're gonna be beholden to her control every time she's in the class. So I said, okay, lady. I went down. By the way, I want to express, I'm just giving you my emotional side of the story. She was in the right, trying to maintain, you know, order and a lack of chaos in the classroom. I went down, I got the bouquet. I walked back over to her. I threw it on the ground, and then I walked out because it was like time to get on the bus anyway, to go home. And then the next day, our regular teacher was back, and she was like, hey, I got a call from the substitute teacher last night, and she was crying, and she wanted to know, like, why is Ryan such a jerk? And I was like, I'm not a jerk. And then I thought about it, you know, for like 5 minutes, and I was like, okay. My bad. You know, as a kid, you don't see things the same way adults see them. Adults tend to have a pretty good... they have a good view of context, is the way I would describe it. You know, how much things matter, you know? For an adult, when you're a teacher, it's a job. You know, it might be a calling as well if you want to get noble, but, you know, you finish your job, you go home to your family, you know, you watch some Netflix, cook some dinner. That's real life, you know? The teaching is not real life, but it's not what you live for, you know? You live for the moments in between. When you're a kid, you know, your environment in that classroom is that's it, you know, that's your life. You know, you're there with your friends, you're there with your enemies. So anything that affects your social standing in that environment, it feels like, I think, way more serious than it does to an adult, which is, you know, fair, because it is basically meaningless. I mean, after some point in your life, you're never going to see any of those people again, more or less. Unless you're one of, like, the, you know, 40% of people that marries the first person you had a crush on when you were in 6th grade. In which case, dude, like, more power to you. What's that like? I'm not trying to poke a hole in your theory of soulmates or anything. I'm just saying, you know, it happens with a remarkable incidence rate. But yeah, you know, I think as time has gone on, I can understand, well, certainly I understand where the teacher came from. She was 100% in the right, no question about it. But I also have come to accept my actions more as well. It's like, you know, this outsider came into our classroom, where I've been in the class with these people since September. And, like, it's already October. I put in a lot of work getting my rep up. And then she's like, hey, shine my shoes for me. And I'm like, how about this? How about I take your shoes and I put a potato chip wrapper in them, so when you step on it, you get all crinkled and confused. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the Canadian school is like prison. It's very intense, as you can tell. I could not have asked for a better first run. With Deadeye, we have 47 damage after we land like 3 shots in a row. And the shots pierce. Like, why even bother pressing the spacebar there? No, it's not like that. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps me a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.